Hey guys, how are you all? My name is Harshit Dwivedi, friends, and I welcome you back to my video. So in this video, friends, we will be discussing with you the Bardoli Satyagraha of 1928. This is presented by me, Harshit Dwivedi, friends. First of all, I would like to tell you that this video is available in English. If you want the Hindi version of the video, that is also available, friends. So the link of the Hindi version of the same video is given in the description box below, so you can go to the Hindi version and watch this video. So this is about the Bardoli Satyagraha of 1928. This is presented by me, Harshit Devi. So let's start with this, friends. This is a photo which was taken around the time of Bardoli Satyagraha. In this, you can see Mahatma Gandhi sitting here, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel sitting here, and all other important persons. So this is a very important historic, photo, friends. And I have been, including some pictures like this, many pictures like this in all of my videos, so you can see and have a look at them, friends. Moving forward, first of all, we are going to explain, explore that what led to this Bardoli Satyagraha, why this Bardoli Satyagraha happened. So first of all, this Bardoli Taluk is present in, modern day Gujarat, and at that time, around in 1925, this Bardoli Taluk was affected by a lot of famines and floods. Floods came, and obviously, when the floods will come, obviously the water will overflow, and because of this, the crops will get destroyed. And when the crops will get destroyed, obviously the yield will get reduced. Most of the crops will get destroyed, and because of that, farmers will suffer financially and economically, because when there is no crop, they will not be able to sell any crop in the market. And if they are not going to sell any crop in the market, how are they going to get money? So obviously there was a money crunch going on with the farmers. At that time, what happened to the Bombay Presidency? What they did, they increased the tax rate by this much amount. Some sources said that they increased by 22%. Some say by 30%. Okay, this exact percentage is not important, but they increased the tax in this range. And obviously the farmers were having these type of problems instead of the fact. And this Bombay Presidency governor was very well aware of the fact that the farmers are suffering from this problem. Instead of that, he increased the taxes. Okay. Now many petitions and appeals were filed from civic groups and farmers. Okay, and these petitions and appeals, they just appeal to the Bombay Presidency governor that please don't increase the tax rate, as already the situation is very grave. People are suffering a lot, but despite these petitions, these appeals, these requests, whatever word you want to give, friends, the government went ahead with tax imposition and collection. Okay, so this the government did wrong. Then next, what happened in 1927, around, some local Congress party, the local Congress party, it also conducted some assessment, friends. And in that assessment, it did a ground level statistical survey in which it assessed the effect of these enhanced taxes. And obviously they say that, friends, that if the taxes will be enhanced, then obviously the farmers who are already very poor, they will not be able to carry the burden of the enhanced taxes, and obviously things like the suicides, these will increase. Okay, the migration will increase. But despite of all these studies, despite all the appeals, the government went ahead with imposing and extracting the taxes. Okay, so when the situation was very much clear that the government is not going to agree with the demands of the people, what happened in January 1928, at the Bardoli Taluka farmers, they invited Vallabhbhai Patel ji to launch the protest movement. Okay, and it was decided that we will resolve, and in this protest movement we will oppose this hike in tax. Okay, and these people also assured Gandhi ji that they are completely committed to the non-violence. They will carry on this movement in a completely non-violent manner. Okay. Now Patel ji, before taking the leadership of this movement, that is the Bardoli Satyagraha, he discussed two things with two different people. First of all, he went to Gandhi ji and discussed this movement with Gandhi ji. Gandhi ji gave Patel his blessings. Okay. But Gandhi ji and Patel mutually agreed that Congress or Gandhi ji will not associate themselves directly with the movement, and the struggle will be led entirely by the people of Bardoli Taluka. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel will lead the people, but Congress will not officially, associate itself with the movement. Neither Gandhiji will officially associate himself with the movement. However, Gandhiji supported the movement through his writings in Young India magazine. So after Patel talking to Gandhiji, what Mr. Patel did, that he also talked to the farmers of the Taluka, and he took assurances from the farmers of the Taluka that if you are going to, Vallabhbhai Patel said to the farmers that if you are going to participate in this movement, then there will be consequences, and there can be many consequences, like their land can be confiscated, their cattle can be confiscated, they can be arrested and imprisoned for longer terms. So these things can happen. So Patel ji very clearly told to the people that this can be the consequences. So are you ready to face the consequences? The farmer said, yes, we are ready to face the consequences. We will not pay the taxes. We will participate and stand behind you, in order to oppose this hike in taxes. Okay, so this was happening, friends. Then after these two things were done by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, what Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel did, that he tried to convince the government, that is Bombay Presidency government, and for that he apprised it of the situation. Okay, friends. Now, how he apprised him of the situation, that he wrote a letter to the Bombay Presidency governor and told to the Bombay Presidency governor that something like this is happening, sir, and you should need to stop it. You should reverse the hike in tax rate. But obviously, the Bombay Presidency governor was not going to yield. Okay, so the government responded that they are not willing to make any concessions. Then how the things proceeded, let's see. Okay, obviously now the movement will have to start, because the government is not yielding, it is not softening its stance. So Patel actually in this movement proved himself to be a very efficient leader of his non-violent army in the Bardoli Taluka. What he did, that he divided the taluka into many camps. He organized hundreds of men and women in the camps. Okay, and the people who participated in this movement, they were volunteers from all the communities, like Hindu community, Muslim community, Parsi communities. And what these people did, in the camps, these volunteers issued news bulletins, they issued campaigns, made speeches which educated the masses about the need to maintain a discipline, and also prepare the masses for austerity. What does austerity means? That it was being told to the masses that you are going to live in problems, you are going to face problems. Maybe it may be possible that after some time you are not having food to eat, you are not having clothes to wear, your children are not studying, you are in a jail for a longer amount of time. So what these camps were doing, that they were preparing the people for austerity so that the movement can be strengthened. And door to door campaigning was done to strengthen the movement. Also a large number of women were participating in this movement, and it was these women who gave Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel the title of Sardar. Okay. Also, peasants and farmers, they took oath in the name of God that they will not pay the taxes to the British administration. And also, those who were paying taxes to the British administration, or those who were supportive of the British policy, they were socially boycotted. Also, there was a Kalip Raj caste, which were the farmers who worked as landless laborers. So, some steps were also taken for their betterment, especially betterment, and also government offices functioning in the area. So, the non-efficient, essential goods that were provided to these government offices, that non-essential goods were refused. Okay, obviously essential goods to these government offices were not reduced, because if you are going to reduce the essential goods to the government offices, then this is a direct violation of the policy of the British government, and you are directly contradicting it. So that was not done, because in that case the government would have responded very suppressively, very violently. So essential non-essential goods supply to the government offices was refused, not essential goods. Please keep that in mind. Okay, then what the government decided, obviously for some time the government was looking at all these things, but after some certain amount of time the government declared that it will crush the revolt. Okay, and a lot of tax inspectors and some pathans were hired from the northwestern part of India. They were sent to the villages to forcibly confiscate the property of the villages, and also to suppress the villages to fear them. Okay, so these things were happening. Okay, so these pathans and men of the collectors, they forced themselves into the houses. They entered the houses, they took away all the properties, they took away the cattle. Okay, friends, now what happened, that in order to people wanted to save their cattle. So in order to save their cattle, what the people did, that obviously if the cattle is grazing in the open field, the authorities will come and take away the cattle. What can they can do a lot of things with the cattle. Its milk can be utilized, they can be used in the meat market. Okay, so a lot of things can happen. So people, in order to save their cattle, whether it's a buffalo, goat, you know cow, what they did, they locked those cattle inside their homes, and they locked the homes from outside, in order to save their animals from being seized by the authorities. Okay, now whatever land that the government confiscated, the auction of those houses and the lands started, but not a single person from Gujarat came forward to buy those lands. This was the impact of this movement, because no one was coming forward to buy these land, friends. Then Also, the people were resisting eviction, that is forced eviction and confiscation, zabti in unique ways. What was zabti? Zabti was the confiscation of land. Somebody is coming to you. If you are not paid revenue, they are going to forcibly take away your land from you by making you sign, or angutha, your thumb impression on the stamped paper. So this was zabti. So obviously, what had happened to the leadership, that is Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, was having some informers in the government offices, and there was many more of information channels. So what happened, that as soon as some people were issued to go to the villages and do this confiscation zabti, the people came to know initially, and what they did, they emptied the complete village. Suppose some inspectors are going to confiscate a property. Now that complete village is empty. Nobody is there. People have locked their homes and gone away. So how will you confiscate that land? Because you don't know who is the real owner of that land. If I am the real owner of that land and you are going to take away my land, you will forcibly take my thumb impression if I am not uneducated, or my sign on that paper, and then you are going to take my land. But when I am not present, how can you forcibly take my land? So this was happening. So this was the unique ways that were employed by the people to resist confiscation of their lands by the government. Okay, the whole village used to move to another place, and officers used to face with an empty village. They had nothing to confiscate. Okay, now what happened, those amount of land which were already being confiscated by the government, in government put that land to auction. So some rich people of Bombay came to buy those land. Okay, now there was one village at that point of time that paid the tax. So complete social boycott of this village was done. All the people who were living in that village who paid the tax, obviously their relatives in other villages severed their tie with them in as a mark of protest, because they don't want to associate themselves to those people who are paying taxes to the government, friends. And things like this were happening, friends. That is, all those landowners who were taking land, who were confiscated by the government and auctioned. So the landless laborers refused to work on those land, to till this land, because if someone has purchased a land from the government, then obviously he's going to do agriculture on it so that he can get land revenue. Then only he will be going to give it to the government and to himself. But when no landless labor is ready to work on that land, how you are going to get the revenue? So obviously nobody was ready to work on the lands who were being forcibly taken away by the people. Also, the members of the Legislative Council of Bombay, they were seeing at the suppression of the revolt by the British authorities. So they were very much unhappy. They were angered by the terrible treatment of the protesting farmers, because Britishers were heavily suppressing these farmers. Okay, so obviously they resigned from their office as a mark of protest in support of the farmers. These were K.M. Munshi and Lalji Naran. They resigned from the Bombay Legislative Council. This movement was definitely local, but it received nationwide attention and support in all parts of the countries. People were looking at it, and they were very much inspired by it. Okay, so what happened at the end in the Bardoli Satyagraha, friends? Government thought that obviously this movement is gaining ground, so it may go violent, it may go out of hand. So they set up a Maxwell Broomfield Commission to look into the matter. This was basically the policy of the Britishers, that when they thought something is going out of their hand, they appointed a commission to solve that thing. Also, the revenue was reduced to 6.03%. So this was the biggest win of the thing, because revenue was it. This movement was against the tax hikes, against the taxes, and obviously the taxes were reduced. It came back to 6.03%. That increase of 20 to 30% was reduced. So this was a big victory. Now the farmers were celebrating their victory, but Vallabhbhai Patel continued to work to ensure that all those people whose land had already been taken away, their land should be returned to them. So Vallabhbhai Patel was continuously working for this. Okay, now. What happened, government said that whatever lands we have already auctioned, we will not say their owners to return those lands, but those people who have bought those lands, they will be pressurized to give back the land to the rightful owners. And what happened, that some wealthy sympathizers, okay, of Bombay, what they did, they took the land and they purchased the land from their own money, and they returned it to the rightful owner. So this was happening, friends, that the government was not ready to take the auction lands and give back to the rightful owner. So what happened, some wealthy Bombay merchants came forward and they purchased the lands on the behalf of the rightful owners, and they returned that land to the rightful owners. And what happened, the most important thing that this revolt did, that Patel emerged as a national leader. Okay, and the success of Bardoli Satyagraha showed his remarkable organizing skills, and he was recognized as a very efficient national leader who is going to lead the national movement in the coming days. So this was my video, friends. I hope this was helpful to you. The Bardoli Satyagraha is completely explained in it. If you really like this video, friends, kindly subscribe to my channel. Give this video a like. If you have some problems, you can give it a dislike, and please tell me what's the problem in the video, because that is most important for me, because on that basis I will improve the quality in the upcoming video. So thank you for watching, friends. Have a good day. Goodbye.